Be careful. You might learn something.
Let's go.
You are now tuned in to the Factual Opinions Podcast with your hosts. I am Pharaoh. Straight facts.
Welcome back, world, to Factual Opinions Podcast. This is season 6, episode 9. We're calling it Main Thing. Why? Because as Coach Prime would say, it's always about keeping the main thing the main thing. Got to stay focused. There's a lot of distractions out here. So it's your humble and gracious host, I am Pharaoh, checking in with big bro Calvin Hill.
What's going on? What's going on?
Will West, the best Nate.
You know it.
So, gentlemen, a lot to talk about today. You know, when we first started Factual Opinions, we spent a lot of time on music and sports, and we got a lot to talk about with sports. The conference finals underway. Joe Burrow says this is the most talented team of his tenure here in Cincinnati, which means there's no excuses for Joe going forward if he's throwing that out. A lot of other things I want to talk about. Draymond Green and why Sassy Draymond Green needs to stop with the disrespect. And the big question, do the Los Angeles Lakers need LeBron still at this point? So a lot we want to talk about. But Drizzy, as they call him, I call him Aubrey, which is his real name, dropped 3 albums. And there's much debate. There are nostalgic Drake fans who think anything that he drops is classic material. There are people such as myself who have just never been a big Drake fan and never understood how a dude that played on a Nickelodeon sitcom and rapped in a Sprite commercial all of a sudden came to the best rapper in the game, supposedly. And DMX was not a fan, as we know. Rick Ross, Rose is not a fan, but kind of for the same reasons I have. It's just when you look at the guy, to me, everything from his cadence to his movements to his aura just seems corny and fake to me. It seems forced. And I never really understood his backstory. And the other thing that bothers me when it comes to Drake, is he a talented performer? Yes. But there's a difference between being a performer and an MC. A lot of the younger generation doesn't understand why the importance is placed on writing your own rhymes, or at least if you didn't, or you wrote some of them, being authentic, like an Eazy-E or Dr. Dre, where you're actually rapping about the stuff that you lived and did, so it doesn't come off as forced and awkward. But I did give a listen to all 3 albums because I wanted to understand what the fuss was about. Because I can literally go back on every one of Drake's albums, and at most, there's always 1 or 2 songs that I like. Everything else is trash to me. So I wanted to speak to 2 gentlemen that actually have listened to more Drake than I have, and I wanted to get your interpretation. Cal, did you listen to any of the new Drake albums?
I have. I listened to all 3, man. I am a fan. But maybe not for the reasons that most are. I'm a fan of just the good music aspect. And to me, when it comes to dude, it doesn't really come off forced. He only really raps about what he kind of does and knows, which is females. I mean,
I hear the 0 to 100, and if a brother does this, then I'm gonna do this. And listen, I'm not saying everybody has to be Curtis Jackson or NWA or Pac or Big or whatever, because there's plenty of Will Smiths and Tribe Called Quest and De La Soul that I get down with.
Right.
But they never tried to be anything that they're not.
I don't think he's trying to be. I don't think he's trying to be something that he's not. What I think he is, he's just putting a couple solid bars together. Even Fat Joe said a lot. He said it on his podcast a while back. A lot of stuff he rapped about, he didn't do. So a lot of them do that. Now, as far as what you say, you feel like it's forced. I don't really think it's forced. I just think when you just have when you already understand that, all right, I ain't really feeling dude, and then dude really has something that's actually pretty decent.
He's always been corny. I don't even mean to interrupt you, but he's always been corny. He's always been corny, and he's never hit it. I think what it is, and go ahead, Cal. Go ahead. I'm gonna let you finish. I'm gonna go spill.
I just know I'm gonna let you go in a minute, bro. I'm just saying, okay, so for me being a fan, I'm just a fan of the music. It's a different outlook, and a different way of music when it comes to me. He's been able to put some stuff together that I may like. Now, is it going to interpret in my life? No, absolutely not. But as far as the music and some of the other stuff that's being played, I'd rather listen to dude than a lot of some of these new cats. But go ahead, go on your tangent, brother.
So I'm gonna say this. I listened to 1 out of the 3 albums because I didn't like the reviews that everybody was saying. So I just took that in consideration. I listened to the one where he was getting lyrical. I thought that was he got a few hits on there. He put his little clap back at Kendrick a little bit. He started talking about all the other people that turned their back on him. I get it. My thing is, I think a lot of people don't like Drake because it's Aubrey from Degrassi. I think that's really what it is, and I think that him doing that first, him being an actor, and he's got that skill set. So some of his stuff is really corny, where everybody knows. But I think also it's the fact that he kind of mastered the industry and how to put out music and how to make good music and use the pieces around the industry to his advantage and put his boy on. So I really think that's really why.
Not to cut you off, Nate, but how come every real rapper don't like him? Whether it's Remy Ma, Rick Ross, DMX, like, how come real hip hop artists don't
that's
like
$1 million question, man.
So I'm gonna give you $1 million answer. He's a culture vulture, as my wife calls it. He has the tendency of white people, not to be racist.
Is that why Rick Ross threw the flag?
That's why he threw the flag. Yeah, that's why he threw the flag.
Joey Cracker asked him. He said, "Bro, I thought he was with us."
Man,
and he threw the flag. So that, and I really think a lot of people don't realize you got to remember the boy's mixed. So he was raised by his mother, who's Caucasian descent. A lot of kids at a young age go through that identity issue.
I don't know that has. I mean, that might has to do with his awkwardness, but I don't think that has to do with whether he's accepted or not. Because all of us rock with Marshall Mathers.
That's what I'm about to say. So how do we give him a pass? How we give him a pass, and we don't give him somewhat of a pass? Like, I mean,
Well, one, because Emma's a real MC and writes his own rhymes. Okay, well, let me take it even further. How many people came up as rough as Eminem and them trailer parks up there in Detroit and outside 8 Mile? And I'm not saying
surrounded by black folks, though, bro.
I'm not saying again that everybody has to have that backstory or whatever, because that's another pushback I get when I start talking about Drake and I say I don't understand his origin or what made him relevant in the first place. And your brother Jonathan Hill will always say, so everybody got to be Eazy-E or Pac or Big or something. I said no, because that's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying what made Drake? What made him interesting or me supposed to want to support, and then find out that he doesn't write his own.
I just said that, Al. I just said what it was.
He doesn't write his own lyrics, so even if I am feeling a song, it's like, can I really get behind it? Like, I don't even know that this is you talking right now.
Now that's the part that I can understand. If you don't really
I get that.
Stuff, I can kind of get that, because this is coming from somebody else, from somebody else's intellect. So in that, I understand. So I don't know, man. It's like he's been able to put together some decent projects that I listen to. Now, whether or not it's him rapping or somebody else, all right, let's just say it is him. He sounds and raps better than a lot of people give him credit for.
So he's a performer, but he's not an MC.
Yeah, I mean, I get it, but he, like, bro,
that's just like saying Jay-Z's. That's like saying Beyonce's not a singer; she's a performer.
Yeah. The difference with that is, and thank you for bringing that up, Nate, because a lot of people will bring that up. Again, R&B and soul music and all of that did originate from other people writing for performers or people that did it. That's what I'm keep trying to emphasize to people, is that is what made hip hop unique. You were supposed to be an MC. You were supposed to write your own rhymes. You were supposed to come off the dome or writing your notepad.
But what's the problem?
What is the
But what's
problem
the
with that
problem?
not
Hold
being
on,
the
hold on,
case?
hold on. No. This is what I'm about to ask. So what is the problem if you mix in something else that somebody's gave you to help? They be like, hey, yo, bro, I wrote this song for you. This shit gonna be fire for you, and it turned
There's
out
a
to be
difference
fire
between
for him.
a bar or a verse versus a whole song. I'm not saying that nobody's ever contributed to anybody else's art or music or
Cause your
tracks,
boy
but
Diddy was getting wrote about. Jada was writing all his shit.
but
Excuse my
did it
mouth.
did it, yeah, boy, get you $1 to put in the jar.
Yeah, I got $1 in a jar. I just had to get that on my chest. My bad.
Puff is a producer and started as a producer, and he's not a rapper. Does
But
he
he was
rap?
rapping.
Yes.
Every time he rap, he get on my nerve. But go ahead.
But we knew that wasn't Puff.
Yeah.
He was a producer.
Well, me and Big John said if we ever met Puff, we was gonna put our hands on it if we keep rapping.
I don't want to get into a Sean Combs thing on here.
I know.
But
I mess with Diddy for who he is. I mean,
look.
I'm
Puff
cool
was
with
a producer, Nate. He wasn't a
yeah.
rapper. That's the difference to me.
I get it.
At the end of the day. So when we're talking about somebody writing for somebody, even Dr. Dre didn't write a lot of his rhymes, especially in the beginning. But did it sound unauthentic to you? I think Cal muted himself.
No, Dre, but see, Dre has done it for so long
My bad,
that
y'all.
you know where it's coming from.
Dre was rapping about a life that he lived, though. The
Right.
same thing with Easy E. He actually came out and said, Ice Cube writes the raps that I say. Now, everybody saw that clip from Straight Outta Compton, and it was over dramatized. And they're like, "Oh, well, he
Which
didn't write
part?
none of his stuff." No, that's not
Which part?
totally true. The part where Cube wrote, the Boys in the Hood song, and everybody ran with that and said, he never wrote anything that he said. No,
No,
that's
yeah,
not true.
yeah.
It was dramatized for the movie. But did Ice Cube write a lot of stuff for Eazy and Dre and the rest of them? Yeah, but the reason why it didn't come off unauthentic or weird the way I said, like when I listen to Drake or even watch his movements, when he's performing or anything, is because it was believable. Because what did Dre say? He was like, "The song is about you, E." He was like, "You got a 6'4"? Q said, "I don't even have a car." He was like, the song was about E and what he did on a daily basis. So of course, once he learned the cadence of how to rap, it came off natural because he's rapping about his daily life.
I didn't know Cube wrote Easy. The Easy. I didn't
Yeah.
know he did that. I didn't
Yeah,
even know that.
Mm-hmm.
a lot of it. That's why
Yeah.
Q
Was so
left
pissed off about it. Yeah.
NWA because he felt like for real, he was like, I know E is making the majority of the money because it's his label, but he was like, bruh, if I'm writing the stuff for everybody,
Hmm.
you know. So
Right.
to me, it's just different because like the way I came up in hip hop culture and the way I hold, KRS-One and Big and Rakim and Pac and Snoop and all of them to such a high standard. Jay, Nas. If
And
somebody
this is
told
why
me
he would not be to your he wouldn't be to your liking. He wouldn't be to
it,
your liking.
it would be so disheartening if
Yeah.
somebody told me, "Oh, Pac didn't write Dear Mama," like, or Big didn't write Juicy or Hypnotize or whatever. Like it would totally take away from the performance because that's what hip hop was. So to make the
Hmm.
point I'm making, Nate, is we know Smokey Robinson wrote for David Ruffin and the
Hmm.
Temptations.
Yep.
We know Mr. Gordy and them wrote for Diana Ross and the Supremes, or Jermaine Dupri wrote for Usher Raymond. But that's part of that art form and that genre's makeup. You're allowed to do that. Those were the best songs, and where they came from is when people tapped into people's pain and said, "I'm gonna write a song." Even people don't understand. Diddy listening to certain situations that Mary J. Blige was going through and saying, "Look, we're gonna tap into this." It might hurt when we sing about this, but we're gonna talk about it.
And I'm gonna just say this:
Okay.
the advancement of rap has changed. It ain't like when we was going with the MCs and these MCs was writing their lyrics and we knew they was doing it. And
wait a minute, we got to pivot because you're right, Nate, and we'll come back to it. But we got Brother Rod in the house, and I've been waiting for Brother Rod. What's up, Rod? First of all, he said Lakers failed LeBron. They should be grateful for him. Otherwise, they would have left in the first round. So one of the questions that I was going to get into for sports, we'll do while Rod is in here, is I was going to ask, is it time? Before the season started, Lakers legend Byron Scott came out and said that it's time for LeBron to leave LA, and that he's basically tapped into what he'll be able to do in LA at this point. They've already traded for the succession plan in Luka, and like it or not, and I know Rod is a Lakers fan, more so. I mean, excuse me, a LeBron fan, not a Lakers fan. So he's always going to come off from the perspective of what's best for LeBron, and that's why I wanted somebody like Rod to tap in today. Y'all know me; I'm a Lakers fan, so I care about what's most, best for the organization, not a specific player. I agree with Rod, though, that the Lakers should be grateful that LeBron chose to come to LA in the first place in 2018. It was a floundering franchise post Kobe Bryant, even those last few years with Kobe when he was wore down and beaten up. The Lakers were not the Lakers that we grew up on. So LeBron coming there instantly brought some credibility and juice back to the franchise. Now, speaking as a Lakers fan, I'm going to say something that might come off unpopular, and I don't mean this to demean what LeBron has done in LA, but in all truthfulness, in LA, one championship in 8 years, and I have to throw this in here. I don't take away from it, but I know what certain people will say. So one bubble championship in 8 years is not going to endear you to Lakerland based on the history there. It's not, in my opinion, I'm not saying that to take away from what LeBron and AD did, in that 1 year, but I'm just saying in context in Lakerland with what they've seen and been spoiled with, Jerry West and Wilt and, the Showtime dynasty and Shaq and Kobe, that's not enough to endear you to stick around. And at this point, maybe it is best for LeBron to leave. What if he finishes, and he is an unrestricted free agent? What if he finishes with Cleveland? What if he retires with Cleveland?
Well,
I already think he's doing it.
Are we talking about Jerry West, the general manager, Jerry West the player? Because Jerry West the player,
both, because although he went to the finals 9 times,
the player.
Yeah, man, come on.
Okay.
As a player, Jerry West was that.
I understand your fandom with the Lakers, but are you sitting here telling me that Jerry West was a better player than LeBron's tenure that would now go into that many finals and keep losing?
No, what I'm telling you is in Lakerland.
Oh, okay.
Jerry West was held to a higher esteem.
Basically in fantasy land.
I'm about to say La La Land. Okay.
It's not fantasy land when
La
you
La
went to the
Land.
finals.
There you
La
go.
La Land. Okay.
It's not fantasy when you went to the finals 9 times with
that part I get. That part.
So what I'm saying is, for those fans that are even old enough to remember that, yes, they look at how many times Jerry, lost in the finals, but they do remember him finally beating the Knicks, and winning a championship. And they say, man, this dude took us to the finals 9 times. And by the way, he still is the NBA logo.
Yeah, still logo. Yeah. So going back to the question, I'll say this. Is it time? Personally, I agree. I'm with that it being time for LeBron to move on. The team is not going to win with the makeup of Luka, him, and Reeves. So I say let's move on from it. LeBron is going to that back 4, back 3 of his career. It's time. It's not even looking bad. It's already appearing bad because it's like you seeing the decline of that guy being that old, and he's still putting up producing great numbers. But I'm rip the Band-Aid off. Let's go. I feel like you gave us what you've given us. We thank you. We're gonna move on. We're gonna figure out what's going on with you and Bronny. We're gonna find y'all a soft place to land. I just think it's time. It's time because they're not gonna win with your superstar not being able to defend. You have centers who can't center. You have power forwards that all are small forwards. It's like the makeup of the Lakers. It's like they tried to do so much to make him comfortable. Like now they don't even look like a team that can do anything. They
Thank
can't
you.
compete. They can't
Rod
compete
said,
with
yes, go leave with the championship caliber team and take your son. That's provided though, Rod. There are teams, and this is going to sound funny, that want LeBron James at this stage of his career. Because is he defying logic and cheating father time for right now? Yes. There's never been another 41-year-old that looks like him. But if we're comparing LeBron even to himself, he's not the same player anymore. He's taken up the majority of your cap space. There are some younger players that would be intimidated and or don't want to play with LeBron James that would hinder the Lakers' ability to sign up and coming free agents who don't want to play backseat to LeBron, especially at this point in his career, or have the expectations of playing with LeBron James. Because, like Cal said, whether it's even realistic for them to win a championship or not, one, that's the expectation every year with the Los Angeles Lakers, and number two, with LeBron, it's always a win now situation,
right.
or at least that's the goal when you play with LeBron. So that, just like the last few years of Kobe, is inhibiting them from being able to go out and sign free agents and younger players. Austin Reeves is a whole nother situation because when I look at him, I look at a guy that's overachieved. He
Mhm.
found his place in the NBA, but he's not going to be the reason that you win a championship. Was he a nice piece like Caruso, was? Yeah. But
Why ain't compare him to Caruso? He's better than Caruso.
Think
Austin
so?
Reeves is better than Caruso.
Offensively, maybe.
Yeah,
Austin Reeves is a
offensively.
liability.
Let
When
me
the
say it that way.
temperature gets
Offensively,
turned up, let me be clear. When the temperature gets turned up, Austin Reeves is a liability. That's what I was trying to get to. Is he's
okay.
one of them that he looks good during the regular season and when the pressure's not on, but when it comes down to it, that's not somebody that you want to be paying franchise player, money to because he's not going to deliver you in the clutch.
Did y'all already do that though? Y'all already paid him franchise type money, didn't
We
y'all?
didn't already paying franchise money. I think Coach Cam is here, although his camera ain't on.
I just didn't. This is my thing about the Lakers. It is a transition time.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that. Everybody know LeBron's on the. He's father time is go catch up and it's go catch him, and he ain't gonna be able to do nothing.
He's
My thing
undefeated.
is, and he's undefeated. My thing is,
There's Coach Cam.
what's up, Cam?
What's going on?
My thing is when it comes to LeBron,
You got the
LeBron is
speaker
just
going, Cam?
now at year 20. At year 20, he's just now figuring that somebody feed him.
Yeah, I think it's Cam.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, at year 20, he's just now starting to realize that he can't be the number one. And that's not just because he's been a superstar all these years. It's just the fact that he's just now realizing that his body can't handle this destruction on a consistency. So my
Yeah.
thing is with the Lakers, the Lakers got to do what they got to do as a business. It ain't no loyalty in this business. So and then I hate the fact that people were just like, oh, well, the Lakers need to sign him over. No, that don't need to happen. That don't need to happen. He needs
No,
to
they
just go
don't.
ahead and have
And
that
and
farewell
and
tour.
everybody knows that I am the world's biggest Kobe Bean Bryant fan, but I would have been the first to say and have always said that even his last couple years, I felt like he slowed down the development of younger players that went on to be all stars and six mans of the years, all the Jordan Clarksons and uh, you know, uh,
Y'all had a slew full of people.
that's what I'm saying.
Like,
D'Angelo
yeah,
Russell,
Mhm.
Julius Randle, Brandon Ingram. These were guys that maybe could have developed a little bit faster,
these
and
are
for
all
the
franchise people you just named,
and,
except for
and
Jordan
for the
Clarkson.
Lakers had, like Lou Williams said, they came out and said they told them like, hey, this is Kobe's farewell tour. This is what we're making this season about.
Mhm.
and it slowed the development of these players and didn't allow the Lakers to fully go into rebuild mode because you were still paying, Kobe Bryant $48 million a year when from a lifetime achievement award standpoint, yes, maybe he was owed that. But the teams that continually win or used to, like when we were kids, the Yankees, the Patriots, people like that, they rather get rid of you while you still had something in the tank versus having you on the hook when you had nothing
Right.
to offer.
Right.
And I'm not saying LeBron is there yet, but in terms of him being the old LeBron James, he's not that anymore. He's carry a
He's
team.
closer to being that than being the old LeBron, to be completely, because that's just the age.
But he can't carry a team by himself, and nor
explosiveness ain't there no more.
And nor should he have to at this point. But this is where it gets tricky trying to build a team around the aging superstar, and where Nate said, it becomes a business. I mean, this has happened before. Everybody don't age gracefully like Kareem, did when Magic came in. As much as people want to make about the Shaq and Kobe thing, that was a business decision also, which Mr. Buss, Dr. Buss admitted, at a certain point, it didn't really concern him that Shaq and Kobe didn't always get along, because that had been the case pretty much since they had been there together. They played together 6 years. He said, the business decision was, do I go with the young gun who's still in his prime and ready to go and easier to build around at this point, or the aging superstar that we knew eventually was going to break down? And he did. Now, did he get that one more with the Heat? Yes.
Yeah.
But that was it. And even Pat Riley, being the GM that he was, knew immediately, all right, it's time to get rid of this guy.
So I've gone on record. I've talked to different people about this, and I have a feeling about this that a lot of people don't like. LBJ, that's my goal. That's a whole nother episode. We'll get into that later. The problem that I have with him is, once he left Miami to go back to Cleveland, I wouldn't have went to LA. That was too much to try to follow. The stigma is always going to be where you're not the Laker greatness because you're not Magic, you're not Kobe, you're not West, you're not Kareem. It's always going to be that. And the only way he would have surpassed one of those guys, multiple championships, multiple MVPs, etc. So he did that to himself. Now,
but I can respect that, though, him not running from that. Was it the best decision for him personally? Maybe not. But then again, what was he supposed to do? Was he supposed to stay in Cleveland and keep going to the finals every year and losing?
But then in Cleveland, you're not chasing anybody. He's gonna always be chasing that Mount Rushmore of LA people. And he's never going to achieve it. He's never going to achieve it with you.
Yeah, you sound like these young boys that are scared of that, man.
No, I'm not. What I'm saying is, he's not gonna even escape your opinion. You're never gonna put LeBron over Kobe Bryant. Never, no matter what he does. So why would you continue to chase something?
We could do a whole episode on that.
He's never going to achieve that. So I wouldn't have put myself in that predicament if I was him. I understand the Lakers lure and all that. I'm cool. I get that. But as far as chasing something that you're never going to achieve, I wouldn't have did that to myself. I would have rather stayed in Cleveland or rather stayed in Miami to not have to achieve that. You're not chasing nothing if you're there. So
technically, what was best for LeBron was staying in Miami, to be honest.
That too, I agree.
But I understood why he went home to Cleveland. I completely understand why he
did. Unfinished business. That's the reason he went home. That's the real reason. Ain't no more to that.
But then I also would have rather him stayed in Cleveland. I would have rather him ran off 7, 8, 9 conference championships than to try to keep chasing the Laker Mount Rushmore that he's not ever going to get. Yes, he broke the record there, scoring record, cool, did all that XYZ. I understand that, but nobody's going to put him in that top 4 of Lakerdom.
No, he'll never be cemented in the Lakers now, for sure. Now,
no, he's on the outside looking in from that. He's closer on the top Rushmore of all-time greats. To me, he in the top 3 of all than he is with the Laker group. Y'all never gonna put him over
You know,
Kobe, no
I've
matter what
never
he
heard
does.
that phrase like that, but
Mhm.
that's actually a great point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's not to be funny or like hating on LeBron or anything. It's just like I said, when you asked me that question about Jerry West and Wells, was it as a player, was it as a GM? It's all the above.
Right.
If you're a
Yeah.
Laker, fan, because you
You
have to
should.
look
Oh,
at
so y'all put everything. I put everything in one
how
category.
many championships and Laker wins in general was he directly involved with. Even after he left the Lakers and was the GM of Memphis Grizzlies, he gave them another gift in trading Pau Gasol
Yeah,
to
Yeah.
gave them
the
that.
Lakers. So Jerry, even when he got mad at the Lakers himself, is forever cemented as a Laker legend for that and being the GM of Showtime and Shaq and Kobe.
Right.
So he rebuilt that team twice. But it's it's more to it than that. Um, you're right. It's sort of like going to the Yankees.
Yeah.
You know, whoever goes there, and they could have won a world championship elsewhere, but if they play shortstop,
You're never gonna amount to nothing.
you're not Derek
You're
Jeter.
never gonna be bigger than the captain. Never.
You're not the babe.
Mhm.
It's
Nope.
sometimes can be too much in certain organizations to chase,
Your
but
organization is too much, Al.
Yeah.
Just like the Knickerbockers, they're both too much of expectations with y'all. I'm just being honest. And Kyle just explained it.
says the Celtics fan.
Yeah, I'm a Celtic fan. I'm not a. I don't give a damn
Your
about the players.
organization. What's wrong with Jalen Brown right now?
He
Jalen
got
Brown is
lead
having a
Stephen
temper
A.
tantrum. But
Yeah.
this is my thing about Jalen Brown. He did not lie about saying this is the best I've played. He did not lie about that. At the time, now the timing
But
of
you saying
saying
that
this, hold
about
on,
the
hold on, hold on.
Lakers?
Let me finish. Let me finish. And then we'll get back to your little lake show. The thing about Jalen Brown, the
Little
only
late
thing
show.
Jalen Brown said wrong, he said it at the wrong time. Y'all just lost. You shouldn't even be talking about this right now. That's the big thing. With my organization in the Celtics, it ain't never been outside of legend Larry. What other superstar that they hold to a pedestal?
Bill Russell.
Outside of Bill
Mhm.
and Legend Larry. They got a whole
But
bunch of lists. They got a whole bunch of legends there, but at the same time, those are
I
the
was about to
key
say, have you ever
2K.
looked in the
Those
Raptors,
are the
brother?
two key ones that they hold to the highest
How many
pedestal.
jerseys are up there in the Raptors for the Celtics?
About
Come on,
33.
man.
About 33. But the thing is,
Paul
we
Pierce
hold
up
two
there too.
people just like y'all do. Y'all hold two people. No, more than two. You got Magic, you got
Kareem
Kobe,
and
Kareem.
Kobe.
Those are your three. We got two people that we hold above and beyond. But my thing is, when it comes to expectations, the Celtics, that's gonna always be our expectation to win championships. That's what it is. We lead.
So
We got the
so
most
how can you
rings
say that the Lakers are too much
because y'all
when
XL players. The Celtics don't XL players. Y'all XL players.
oh my God,
Y'all XL players more than the Celtics do. Y'all would do it. Y'all do it quite often.
bruh, they are mirrors of one another.
We don't do it.
One just
We do
has
it
the
behind closed. Well,
reputation
all
of
right,
being
I say it like this: it's
more
behind
blue
closed doors.
collar than the other, but it's the same thing. It's the same expectation in Boston as it is in LA.
That's why you in LA because it's Hollywood. Everything's in the news. Everything ain't in the news in Boston. You heard about Jalen Brown? That was because he was on a
The
podcast.
Lakers and
Outside of
Celtics
that, you wouldn't have heard about that.
are the NBA's two favorite sons.
Okay.
It's like the Big Ten. Yeah,
Okay.
now what you got? 16 teams in the league, but
Oh,
but
but
we know who the conference's two favorites are.
right.
Sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
But
They're
I'm just
always
saying,
gonna try
I'm
to
just
appease
saying, this
Ohio
is my
State and
my
Michigan.
point is my point that I'm making, to be honest, is the Laker Nation and the Knick Nation are killers. They kill players' careers. They can.
First of all, my New York Knicks don't kill anything because we haven't won an NBA championship since 1973. All right, so
Yeah.
the expectations are one thing, but as far as the realistic pressure,
Yeah.
it's only really being felt by this team. There hasn't been this much pressure on a Knicks team since going back to the Patrick Ewing days, if you want to be honest about it.
Yeah.
And that's excluding the Latrell Sprewell Allen Houston team that actually did make it to the finals because nobody expected them to do it. They were 8 seed.
They was 8 seed.
It was the
I
AC.
ain't
They're the
expect them
only
to
way.
be in
I
the first
think are they
round.
the only one?
They're the only 8 seed ever to
They're
make
the
it to
only
the
8
NBA
seed ever
finals.
made it. Mm-hmm.
But what I'm
That
saying
was a
is
lockout
the
season.
expectation that goes along with playing for the Los Angeles Lakers. I'm not going to crap on that and poo poo on that just because you're a Celtics fan or because Cal, you ain't never really been a Lakers fan.
Don't
Like
get mad at us. This your nation. This Laker
that
Nation.
ain't
Your
something to.
nation.
But that's not something to talk down on or go along with this new age, perspective of running from the spotlight and expectation. Like, nah, I'm not gonna do that and act like that's a bad thing that an organization has that type of history and tradition and expectation. It's not a bad thing. If it's too much pressure for you, then don't go there.
But see, but when you still say that, you say that at the end though. It's not that it's too much pressure. Too much pressure is winning a championship where ain't nobody won a championship. That's pressure. To win a championship where there's already been winners, that's not necessarily pressure. That's just expectation of what you already know is there. That ain't but as
It
far
is
as
pressure. There's a reason why young players don't want to play for the Los Angeles Lakers. They would much rather do what
Hold on. You
Giannis
can't say that. Every
what
kid
what
wants to
Giannis
play.
and some other players have done is I want my superstar money. I'll stay here in Milwaukee. And he lucked around and got one in Milwaukee, which I give him credit for. But a lot of people don't want that expectation, or they'll do the Paul George thing where I'll go play with somebody, so they'll always be the blaming point and not me. Because
right.
Paul George ran from that in Indiana, where he was the guy. He quickly got out of that spotlight and went everywhere else where there was always somebody else to blame. Whether it was OKC, it was going to be Russell Westbrook's fault
But
if
wasn't
things
that?
didn't go right.
I thought that was contract issues though.
It wasn't contract issues. He didn't want to be in Indiana no more and be the man. And the point that I was trying to make is when he went to OKC, it was always going to be Russell Westbrook's fault. When he went to the Clippers, it was always going to be Kawhi's fault. When he went to Philadelphia, it was always going to be Joel Embiid didn't carry the load and win the championship. So he's very strategic in what he's doing. And a
Not
lot of
knowing
players have that mindset now.
some
Dwight Howard was another one that wanted superstar money but didn't want superstar expectations.
but I don't think when he was in Orlando, when he took Orlando to the
The
finals.
finals with Hito and all them.
And
So
then
I don't.
decided he wanted to leave.
Yeah, but I mean, but he wanted to leave to go to Houston. But there was really, I mean, I think he went to Houston as like a payback to the dream. Personally, I think he did that for to pay homage
Yeah.
to that man. That's
No,
what
he
I
went
think.
to he went to
He was working
Houston
out with him a
Yeah, he
lot.
because
was working out with him. So that's why I thought he went to Houston.
he went
So
to Houston because when he went to Los Angeles, which was initially where he wanted to go, as he admitted, playing with a player of Kobe Bryant's caliber who expected a certain type of competitiveness and you to compete on a daily basis and championship being the goal was a bit too much for him and didn't
He
like
was
that
too
pressure
playful. He was
of
very.
playing
He
with
was way
Kobe
too
Bryant.
playful.
He admitted
yeah,
that. So that's
yeah.
the truth of the matter.
Well, yeah, and that's Dwight Howard. There's a big difference between Dwight Howard and LeBron James. Very big difference. Now, LeBron felt like he wanted to step into that Laker aura to try to live up to all the expectations of the people that he was not going to pass. Now, hold on, what did he say?
Rod said, "Let's be real. The Lakers traded away all the talent they drafted. It was a struggle franchise until LeBron came, and that's why Magic and Kobe wanted him in LA." Part of that statement is very much true.
Yeah.
The Lakers have never, especially since Dr. Buss bought the team, been one to develop talent. It's
Yeah.
always a win now situation, and they're always looking to trade and get the established all star, superstar in there, just like
Haven't
they
they
did
done it through the
with
draft? Like I think the last person that they did draft and trade was Kobe the night with Vladi, and then they did Andrew Bynum. They got him through the draft. Everybody else.
Let me go through that because they really don't miss. Like I said, they just don't develop. They want to win now because
Right.
you can go back to uh, because of the Lakers front office savvy, they won the championship and got the second pick in the draft the next year and drafted uh, James
Lonzo?
Worthy.
James Worthy. Yeah.
Oh, okay, my bad.
Yep.
They've always drafted well, whether it was an Eldon Campbell or somebody like that, Nick Van Exel in the
Nick
second
Van
round,
Exel. Yep.
Ruben Patterson, Derek Fisher was a second round pick the year that they traded for Kobe in the '96 draft, so they came in together technically. They had the wherewithal, well, not they, excuse me, Jerry West did, to trade an all-star center and Vlade Divac for a 17-year-old kid from Philadelphia. What I think is funny is even people like John Calipari said, do you not think that Kobe Bryant didn't have a better pre-draft workout than Kerry Kittles? Of course he did. I just couldn't convince management to draft a 17-year-old kid at the time. So it wasn't a secret, but the Lakers always had a way of getting that deal done or seeing what nobody else saw. Because when I brought up Jordan Clarkson, that was a second round pick. D'Angelo Russell became an all-star in Brooklyn when they traded him away. Julius Randle was a first-round pick, became an all-star, most improved player. I'm missing somebody.
Lonzo.
I wouldn't necessarily put Lonzo in there. I mean, he was
I was just thinking
okay,
that was y'all's most recent
but
drafting.
Brandon Ingram, became an all-star. That was drafted by the Los Angeles Lakers. So they really didn't miss. They just didn't
Develop.
become patient enough to develop these young players because it's a star-driven organization. It's a star-driven town. Like there's so much to do out there in LA. You're not going to attract people in the seats if you don't have a superstar. So that was the formula. They knew that. Like I got to get a Wilt Chamberlain here. I got to get a Kareem. I got to get a Magic. I got to get a Shaq. I got to get a Kobe. Even in this sense, getting a LeBron. Like there's a business method behind why they do what they do, and even trading for Luca right now was meant to be the anchor, the superstar of the future going, forward.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what Rob was saying. Ingram, yeah, it's when I look back on it, I was kind of upset because I didn't initially want LeBron, but who's going to say no to LeBron James? I thought the plan was, and this is before these guys got hurt, before people jump on me for saying this, I thought the plan was to keep the young boys that they had, whether it was Luke Walton or Byron Scott, coaching them, keep the young guys they had and go sign a Boogie Cousins and Paul George, bring him home to LA where he was born and raised, and that be your team that you compete with a championship for. That's what I thought the plan was, and they did try to acquire Paul George, but that trade fell through. So when the whole LeBron thing came, yeah, they had to trade players and get rid of that young nucleus, and maybe to a
Trying to
degree,
think who all was involved with that trade.
Man, who what?
well, the trade really that did it was the AD thing, because
Yeah.
if you remember when
AD is
LeBron
what really made him lose a lot of all them pieces stuff.
when LeBron first got there, they still had Kuzma, they still had Brandon
Mm-hmm.
Ingram, they still had some of that young talent there, So that was really because again, when you get LeBron, it becomes I got to win now.
Yeah.
You can't waste this talent, which I know Rod would say, well, they did anyway. I said, yeah, not by choice. They tried a few things, even a few moves that King James wanted himself and trading for Russell Westbrook, and that didn't really work out. So it's not that they haven't acquiesced to LeBron and done some of the things that he wanted done. When I say even drafting Bronny was a mistake to me, like I'm not trying to clown Bronny as much as I'm trying to say at the end of the day, if you wasted a second round pick on Bronny James, you have to look at the second round picks that became a Derek Fisher, became a Ruben Patterson, became a Nick Van Exel, for the Los Angeles Lakers, or Jordan Clarkson. Like, they hit on their
Yeah,
second round picks.
they definitely
Kyle
do.
Kuzma was almost a second round pick, a late, first round pick. Like, they've turned second round picks into some serious, players. So that's what I'm saying. Like, if you're doing that just to appease, LeBron, that's one of the risks between Lakers fans and LeBron's, where it's like, okay, you're doing this to appease LeBron. You really could have used that as an opportunity to get this team better.
See, you was just talking about Luka too, and I just thought about it. They did fire Jason Kidd today.
Yeah.
I saw that. I wanted to ask. So we got Cam back in here. I don't know if he got his speaker off, so he ain't got that feedback.
So I got feedback still.
Nah,
Nah,
you
you
good,
good
bro.
now? Yeah, you good
What
now?
what what did you feel about? Well,
Oh,
yeah,
no, you
it's
still got
back.
feedback.
I don't know what's going on.
Well, if we can get you really quick, Cam, because I know you get ready for the game. What did you think about your Dallas Mavericks parting ways with Jason Kidd today?
At first, I was pissed because that's one of my favorite players of all time, obviously. So I liked him coaching my Mavs, but to learn that he was a part of wanting to trade Luka is absolutely crazy.
Yeah, I didn't see that coming.
I was always trying to find out, was he a part of that or not, because I just didn't know. But for them to come out and say, pretty much everybody confirmed that Kidd wanted Luka out, he can roll. I mean, you don't. I think what the problem with Jason Kidd is, he has decent stops where he goes, but his ego gets way too big after a while. Like
I
he
think it was the
maybe make the
contract,
playoffs,
Cam.
like making the finals. He wanted a position in the front office too. Like, so before they hired Masai Ujiri, he wanted to be the president of operations and the coach. Like, what gives you the right to ask for that? And you just traded away one of the biggest stars of this generation, who just led you to the finals.
Pat Riley
Uh,
asked for
and I just, we rebuilding, and Jason Kidd is a coach that you need veterans. The coach, he has to have veterans to coach. He's not going to be a guy that's going to help you rebuild a team and going to like. Don't get me wrong, he is instrumental in helping Flag grow, putting the ball in his hands and different things like that. But the rest of the team is just like, well, sorry, without Luka Doncic, his record is terrible as the head coach. And it was just some certain games during the season which we lost, which was inexcusable. I understand the team that we had, but I'm talking about being up 20, 25 points, losing leads, things like that, where
They
I
did it
felt
on
like,
Portland. They did it against Portland.
yeah, I felt
They
like
was beating
honestly,
Portland by 22 or 25 or something like that. And they let them do it.
yeah, and they just come back because I felt like the team was honestly good enough for at least a play-in spot,
Mm-hmm.
or to fight for a play-in spot. But to be almost 20 games under 500, that's not excusable. So
Yeah.
it was time. It was time to go for old J Kidd, man. And I don't know who we gonna hire. I'll take your old coach, Al. I'll take Tibbs. I think Tibbs. I think we need a stabilizer right now. Somebody that's gonna come in,
That's a good
work the
suggestion.
young guys hard, teach them how to win. I know he ain't gonna use the bench, but I'm about to
At
but we
all.
need
He might use
stabilization
two
right
people.
now in Dallas bad. So I think I'll take Tibbs.
and by year two, they're gonna be complaining about how much he
How much playing
practices.
Yeah,
time they
I will be
get?
complaining after year two.
Why
Yes,
I'm
I
playing
will be.
45
But
minutes?
we'll be in the playoff hunt by then, though.
What'd you say, Nate? Work through it.
Why I'm playing 45 minutes, coach? It
Well,
ain't even 45 minutes in the regulation game.
Jason Kidd is a legend, and I do know that he'll probably get another coaching, opportunity,
He'll be in
somewhere.
Milwaukee.
Maybe it was time. You think they bring him back to Milwaukee? I don't know about that,
I
I don't
think
know if
they're
they'll
going to
bring
try
him
him
back.
again. I wouldn't be
but
shocked.
um, another thing I want to talk about before we wrap up the basketball talk is, and I've been waiting a couple weeks to do this. It's Nate's fault for making me wait.
My bad.
Sassy Draymond. And
No, I ain't never been a fan of him. So
this
I don't
this
even
is
care.
no offense to anybody, but I don't really care how anybody takes this. So Draymond, although he's only a few years younger than all of us, uh, still, and he wants to be part of the old school generation or make people think he's an old school tough guy, but he's really not. Draymond comes from a single parent household, and you can tell by some of the sassiness that he has and
Whoa, whoa,
always
whoa, whoa!
have some.
Relax.
Don't go there, Nate, because this ain't about you. So stop personalizing stuff and let me finish.
Stop talking about my mama on the line, bro. Don't do that.
Ain't nobody talking about your mama. I'm talking about Draymond. And I'm talking about his sassiness and why he always has to have a comeback and everything that he says and talking about some of these players that he shouldn't be talking about. Yes, I'm talking about Sir Charles because let me tell you something with your 4 rings, Draymond. You will never individually be half the player that Charles Barkley was.
I've never.
Period, point blank. And just because you got 4 rings don't make you better than him. Now, were you an instrumental part of those teams, like Austin Rivers said? Absolutely. You were. Nobody's taking that from you, Draymond. But to sit here and call yourself the greatest defensive player of all time and some of the other comments that he's made, he got into it with another player that we all love on this program. Kenyon Martin came up with that list of, 50 to 100 power forwards that are better than Draymond.
Right.
And I don't have an argument with anybody he listed on on that list. It's just being real. And like Charles said, even when they actually were beefing, and they weren't beefing when he threw that slight at Chuck a few weeks ago, he said Draymond with his triple singles that he usually gets in the stat column is Tito standing on stage not realizing that they cheering for Michael. And by the way, if anybody hasn't seen that movie, you should really go see it. It's a tremendous movie.
They did. They did great, didn't they? I told you
That's
they
a
did great,
cold
didn't
movie.
they?
That's a cold movie.
His nephew did a wonderful job playing Michael in that movie. And that's not to take a shot at Tito, God rest his soul. But what I'm saying is, you played with Steph Curry, you played with the other Splash brother and Klay Thompson, you played with some other borderline Hall of Famers like Andre Iguodala, and just an organization in general with Bob Myers and them in the front office that did a tremendous job of placing talent around you. So while you were a main part as far as the role that you played on the team, they didn't win because of you, Draymond. Like you were. Um, I'm trying to think of a word to describe him because he wants people to
A
think.
fill-in, a role player.
No, I
What
wouldn't even call him a role player, but he played a specific role on that team, and he could do that because of the talent around him. It's sort of like Dennis Rodman. Nobody's going to take away the individual achievements and greatness of Dennis Rodman, but it's like Jeff said to me, because I would always make that argument. Like I used to say that Dennis Rodman's not a role player. I said he was a superstar out there with Michael and Scotty, and maybe he was, but he played a role on that team because no other team other than those Detroit Pistons and Chicago Bulls teams that he played on, was he able to just go out there and just rebound and play defense and make all the scrappy plays. You could do that because of how many other championship caliber players you had around you. So they didn't require you to do anything else. If Draymond was drafted by the Milwaukee Bucks or, the Philadelphia 76ers, or somebody like that, the Brooklyn Nets. We're
He'd
not
be out the
talking
league.
about him in the same caliber. Thank you, Cam. He wouldn't even be in the league probably right now. Definitely wouldn't have been a multi All-Star and 4-time NBA champion. But I just to sit there, and he's not the only one. Kevin Durant has disrespected Charles Barkley. LeBron James has disrespected Charles Barkley. Kevin Durant got mad when Charles made the comment about him cherry picking and going to these loaded teams like Golden State and it taking away from his legacy, which I don't give a damn what nobody says. It has, and it will continue to take away from his legacy with him doing that. But he posted a picture of Charles Barkley standing next to Mo Cheeks and Moses Malone and Dr. J, Charles's rookie year. Now, before you shake your head, Cal.
Yeah, I was waiting. Like, let's all right.
The difference is those men were already gray haired and past their prime when Charles Barkley got there.
Right.
And most of them didn't play but for maybe a couple years after Sir Charles, got there. He didn't join them in their prime when they was going to the finals and battling the Lakers and battling the Celtics in the Eastern Conference. Like they drafted Charles Barkley to be the succession plan. So it's not the same as you doing that.
But it okay. Well,
And it's a difference between a team drafting and you selecting as
now
a free agent.
that's what I was gonna say. You're right. It's a difference between you going there and getting drafted. So I totally agree. I'll say this real quick. Draymond is like Terrell Owens. And watch where I'm going with this. He's like Terrell Owens, and I'm gonna tell you why.
I know where you're going. That's
because Terrell Owens has held on to that nobody has never given me nothing. I've earned everything attitude, and people still not respecting where he's came from to where he's gotten. T.O. has never let that go. Draymond will never let that go. Everybody knew he was undersized. Everybody knew he wasn't as skilled, but they still are like not putting him in a respectable light to say, hey, this is where I came from and this is where I am. Like a lot of people still going at Draymond like, bro, they didn't expect this Draymond to be Draymond.
And there's some other elements to it that I'm going to stay away from on this program. I think y'all can understand what I'm insinuating. That's very true with him and T.O. as far as self-image and everything that they may even think about themselves or hear people saying. So it's always like you said, they're trying to prove or whatever. And that's what I meant more so about the sassy and always having something to come back. Because Draymond, if he heard us talking on this program, another thing he would say to other people, well, what have you accomplished in life? Well, Draymond, everybody doesn't have to go to the NBA to be successful in life. There are a lot of brothers that have, gone to school, gone to trade school, other things in life are just a success in the way that they've taken care of themselves and their family. So that don't always need to be your comeback either. Really, I don't think TV is built for you if that's always your comeback, or you got to take everything that personal and snap back like you did with Sir Charles. That's my thing.
I understand that. Okay, I got to go back to the KD thing. I get that it watered down his leg. I understand that. But that's what ring culture gets us. That's what people like Draymond Green talk about. I got 4 rings. That's why you get these guys wanting to do anything possible for a ring. It wasn't like that when Charles was coming up. Wasn't nobody. I mean, I'm not saying you will get criticized for not winning the big one. Don't get me wrong. But when you talk about the social media age, everything is posted and publicized. And all you hear is, you ain't won, you ain't won, you ain't won. I got rings. And these guys looking like, I'm better than these guys that's winning these 2-3 rings. I got to go get one by any means necessary. That's what this ring culture is getting us. Because now you got people like Draymond Green on TV talking about, I got 4 rings. I'm better than so-and-so. Heck no. Heck no, you're not. But you on the flip side, you go get guys like KD that's gonna be like, you know what? My contract up. I got a chance to re-up with the team that drafted me, but you know what? Let me try to join Ant Edwards and get a ring. Let me try to join
because nobody
Spurs
wants to,
or whatever to get a ring if it's cap space available. That's what's gonna continue to happen because of the ring culture we live in today.
Nobody wants to end up
rings, and people doing everything they can to get them.
Nobody wants to end up being Jim Kelly, Dan Marino, Charles Barkley, Patrick Ewing, to a certain degree. And there's no moral victories in sports, though. Those of us that are historians and really follow this game and love, these sports that we're talking about, we love those guys for, shall we say, get rich or die trying. They tried. Most of them stayed with the teams that they were drafted with. And even Charles Barkley, after he left Philadelphia, when he went to Phoenix, he was still the guy. I'm not saying that KJ wasn't good out there, or Lord knows, y'all know I love Thunder Dan, Dan Marley, but he was still the guy. So I still think there's a difference if people want to criticize Charles, for that. They asked Patrick Ewing a few weeks ago, I think it was on the Pivot podcast, they asked him, did he feel like New York failed him? And he said, not necessarily. He said, I thought we had enough with, Starks and Oak and the gang. And then front office tried again with Allen Houston and Latrell Sprewell, at the end of my tenure. Sometimes it just doesn't work. And yes, I'm going to give that mulligan to everybody who played in the Jordan era that everybody who didn't grow up in our era hates hearing, but it's the damn truth. He denied a lot of great players rings. Not just Karl Malone, Reggie Miller, Patrick Ewing, what Chuck say? He said we all couldn't get past Mike. Only reason Hakeem got them to us because Mike sat down for a year and a half.
True.
Them 2 rings off of the default of Mike sitting down.
Yeah.
But he took advantage.
He took advantage, though.
He was the only one.
Clyde definitely took
Ewing
advantage.
had a chance, and then the Magic had a chance at it.
Mm-hmm.
And get it done.
Nope.
Yeah. So I know Brother Cam is going to check out so he can watch the
I just turned it on. Yeah, I just turned it on.
Spurs. But I appreciate you coming on because I did want to get your opinion on that. And before you go, since Cam is a Bengals ticket holder, season ticket holder, you see he's got on the shirt. What do you think about the franchise saying that he believes this is the most talented team of his tenure in Cincinnati?
I mean, he ain't lying. For the first time, even in 2021, when we went to the Super Bowl, we had holes on the team. Our whole offensive line was injured. We had the worst offensive line.
Hey, I'm sorry, my mind just went left.
We had the worst offensive line in the Super Bowl history. So this year the line is all 5 guys come back. The only thing we are missing, obviously, we got to hope the linebackers get better. That's the huge thing there. Overall, just with those linebackers, but you got the defensive line,
yeah, that's a concern.
Which is all of a sudden you blink and you look at all the names. It's one of the deepest defensive lines in the league. So now it should free up the linebackers to make plays so they can be untouched and roam around free, going sideline to sideline. Safeties and quarterbacks are solid.
Cam, who would be our starting linebackers?
It would probably be Demetrius Knight and Barrett Carter right now. We haven't signed anyone. That's
Demetrius Knight is going to be fine. I know a lot of people panic because he was on the higher end of the missed tackles list in the NFL, but a lot of that was just that youthfulness and him flying around and having people up in his face because they were getting past the first level.
The only thing scared me, Al, and I agree with you, is that he was already 25 years old.
He's 25?
He was one of the oldest draftees in that whole draft class. He's going to be 26 already. So what scares me is how much better can you get? You're on the closer side of 30 than you are 20.
So you think he's stuck in his ways already?
I just think there's not much room for growth there. Like he can
I got more
some
faith
of the
in
tackling, but I just don't think there's that much room to get better.
I have more faith in him than I do our secondary. I'm not as worried about him and Barrett Carter as I am the secondary.
You just really hate that Hill, don't you?
I'm gonna say this though.
That's what it comes down to.
When you playing linebacker and you don't have nobody in your face and you can fly around, and that eliminates a lot of you second guessing and thinking, that ceiling will rise. Because if that defensive line, just with Dexter Lawrence himself being able to take up 2 people, and you have Allen that's possibly going to take up 1 to maybe 2 people, that will instinctively boost your confidence and your ceiling to rise. Because that's one less thing you got to worry about. If you can do this all game, just read and react, you ain't got to worry about a guard coming or anything else initially, like off rip, he'll get better. And if he don't, then yes, then that's different. But I think this year he would be a little bit more better because he's not going to get touched as much.
While I agree, let me ask you guys this then. So with Joe saying that, and there was a reporter kind of trying to bait him in the question, but he was confident in his answer. They asked this on Pardon the Interruption the other day. Does this do away with any excuses for Joe Burrow? Is this a must? No hold bars about it. Should the Bengals return to the playoffs this year?
Yes. Definitely.
Absolutely, 110%.
With the
I'm gonna
schedule and our roster, yes.
I'm gonna say he should go to the playoffs, but I'm not gonna say it's a must. The reason why I don't do that, they don't never do that ish with Josh Allen. They'll never do that ish with other quarterbacks. Don't do it with ours. Don't do it with ours.
I don't want to do it with Joe, but that's because the
Justin Herbert.
organization.
They treat
Yeah, like I don't like that because they don't do it with no other guy. They don't do it with no other guy for real. They give Lamar a pass, they give Allen a pass, but now you want to put all the pressure on 9 that he got to get it done. Nah, I mean it would be nice.
And how big a deal is that Lamar Jackson is not at voluntary workouts? I'm starting to hear some rumblings in Baltimore.
Man, yeah, I like
them wanting to move on, possibly.
Well,
really,
it's difficult, man. I believe, man, when you get a coach that is like completely new from the guy that brought you in, it's like, it's a completely different regime now, man. And I don't think if I lose the guy that drafted me, my confidence would be a little bit lower than what it normally is. Now, yeah, I'm the reigning couple years ago off MVP and stuff like that. I am Lamar Jackson, but it goes to say a little bit that if he didn't have anything to do with bringing this guy in, that would be a little tough.
The Ravens want to start over secretly.
Yeah, they do.
I believe it.
They don't want to pay that $180 million no more to Lamar.
Yeah, you got to cater. You got to have a special offense. It's things that you got to do that you just don't have to do with other quarterbacks. And like you said,
that's fine, but let's not forget how good this dude is, though.
I get it. Trust me, I get it. But you know how these coaches and they arrogant. They want their guy. They want their particular guy. And Jesse Minter ain't married to him.
You definitely know.
Look at Nate. Pause. Look. I agree. I just think it would be a huge mistake from Baltimore to move on from Lamar Jackson while he's still in his prime. Mm-hmm. I get all the semantics and everything that Cam said is right. When a new guy comes in, especially there's only 32 of these jobs in the NFL. They want their guy. They want their scheme in play because they're like, if it don't work out, I don't want to have nobody to blame but myself.
Yeah.
And that's what it comes down to a lot of times. You get a new front office, they want a new coach to staff. You get a new owner, they want a new everything, when they come through the door. And Lamar might unfortunately be the victim of that. But as a Bengals fan, I don't really care. As a football fan, I'm like,
But also to go back to the initial question where you were saying about, is this an excuse or a non-excuse for Joe? I'm not going to say that. I think sometimes reporters, they play dumb. Like, what is he supposed to say?
Do.
Is he not supposed to say this is one of the most talented teams he's been on? Because if he don't say it, it's going to go left. So he's supposed to say that. Now, it's a true statement, but what else is he going to say?
Like, I don't know that this is a more talented team than
I'm gonna say from A to Z as a whole. I think it is because the O line is better. The O line is better. Let's see.
Running back position is not better.
Running back position is not better. No, I mean there's a couple one-offs, but at least the O line we know is better. And the defensive backfield then I think was way better.
That's what I'm saying. That's the position I was really wanting to go with. So you're looking at Awuzie, you're looking at Jesse Bates, you're looking at Von Bell, you're looking at a nickel corner like Mike Hilton. That was a better group. Even Eli Apple, for as much as people want to complain about it, made some serious plays those 2 years. for that team.
I'll say this. I thought the 2022 team was better than 2021. We just didn't get it done. I always say that. I thought the 2022 team that won those 10 straight games to finish the season going to the playoffs, I thought that was the team. I thought that was better than the Super Bowl team. And I thought if we could have got there, we would have won at that time with that 2022 team. I thought they was the most complete team in the Joe Burrow era.
And it
I
might
can see
sound
that.
crazy, but I kind of agree because I feel like we were playing better in 2022. Like that run we went on, because it was kind of we went 10-7 in 2021, and nobody kind of knew. I mean, I kind of felt like if we got past that first Raiders game and just got that 31 year drought out the way, they'd be fine. But nobody knew we was going all the way to the Super Bowl.
I didn't think we was going to beat Tennessee.
A lot of people didn't. And probably shouldn't have with Joe Burrow being sacked 9 times.
Yeah.
Yeah, we was at my house, Cal. I'm like, they just got another sack. I'm like, bro, that's like 8 already.
But to Cam's point, that 2022 team, when they got on that run, nobody wanted to play Cincinnati.
Nobody wanted to see us.
Yep.
And again, I'm not making light of it. Happy the brother's still here. But, if DeMar Hamlin didn't have his emergency situation, that game would have been played here against Buffalo instead of on the road. Because everybody knows he's going to blow them out on Monday Night Football.
Yeah.
And the Bengals would have had the 2 seed. Nobody wanted to play Cincinnati. I mean, they were playing some tough ball. And it came down to that last possession against Kansas City again in the AFC Championship game. So I won't back Joe into a corner. I don't believe there's any more pressure than there already was coming into the season with him turning 30 this year and the amount of money that was spent keeping this offensive core together. I think there's that pressure in itself. But what I do think actually happened is it takes a little onus off of this recycled garbage narrative against the front office that the Brown family somehow doesn't want to win. And Chris Carter came on and said
I'm sick of him, man.
Garbage stuff.
I mean,
it was totally outdated. Goes back to the 90s when he played, and him and Uncle Shannon are stuck in that mind frame with some stuff that might have been true back then, but it's still some false parallels being thrown out there. Because I want to say this about Chris Carter. First of all, y'all all know I love Chris Carter. He's one of my favorite football players of all time, born and raised in the state of Ohio. Is a Buckeye legend.
Middletown, Ohio, with all the
is an NFL legend. But for him to say that, during the time that he grew up, the Bengals went to the Super Bowl twice in 81 and 88.
So I
don't know what he's talking about them not being competitive or a garbage organization. Maybe he doesn't remember, because you remember he got kicked out of Ohio State in 1987 and did not play his senior year for... I don't want to do this because if it ever got back to Chris Carter, I don't want him to see it and act like... I love Chris Carter.
What, because of the booger sugar?
He got kicked out of Ohio State because of the booger sugar his senior. So he ended up in the supplemental draft in 88 and played for the Philadelphia Eagles in 88. So he may not remember that season because he was still on that booger sugar, which is why Buddy Ryan cut him from the Philadelphia Eagles. So this is just true. He's admitted it himself. And the Bengals went to the Super Bowl that same year. So I don't know what he's talking about.
Right. Your reference is not making sense, buddy. Like it's probably later on with the Vikings, maybe, and maybe
in the 90s, some of that was true. But my problem with people like him and Keyshawn and Uncle Shannon is they stay stuck on that time period, which, okay, it was horrific. We all lived it because we grew up here. It was true most of that in the 90s. But for you to sit there and say that even in recent years, I know NFL is what have you done for me lately, but we're still a couple years away from a Super Bowl and an AFC championship. This is not the same old Bengals from the era that you're talking about.
And if you're talking from 2020 to now, this decade, we're like top 10 wins.
Okay, and let's let's not cut out the Marvin Lewis era either.
Nope.
You know, as far as being a competitive organization and qualifying for the playoffs 7 times when you had previous to him had 15 straight non-winning seasons, that's the era that he's talking about. He's not talking about from Marvin on.
He was
To
talking
me,
prior.
yeah. So like you really going back, bro. You going back to the Dave Shula, Bruce Coslett, you know, Dick LeBeau
Man,
era.
I
And
think
I'm like, my
I
thing is,
swear,
what
I
was the
think he did.
purpose?
He went back to Middletown, got a good line, and got on that interview.
man,
I think he had to, bro, because that made no sense. He was because I was like, after I watched it, I'm like, bro, he was the late
yeah, bro,
80s. He was the late 80s.
right. He must have forgot.
I'll let Coach Chambers say that, not me.
Yeah, he forgot himself. That's what it was.
Yeah,
It just
I
didn't
don't, and
make
I don't
sense.
understand what the purpose is. If he was baited into that, or somebody, you know, again,
It sounded like he started talking about when he played. Then it went from when he played to 50 years of not doing anything. Then it went from we're wasting Joe Burrow's and Carson Palmer career. Have you not been watching the games? Like,
I don't
have
think
you
so.
not been watching the game? Like, I don't get it. You talking about a 50-year time span where they've got it wrong. My man, had any of your Vikings teams got to the Super Bowl?
nope.
None. So you don't everything you're comparing to, you didn't even achieve. I'm lost here. Like,
And
what do you
that
mean?
'98 team totally blew it.
Like, what are you talking
Yeah.
about? Then you want to talk about how Chad
Yeah,
never gonna be in the
yeah.
Hall of Fame, bro? That's like some of his takes is wild.
I wouldn't even bring him on another podcast.
Bro,
It just
some of
don't
his
make
takes
sense.
is
That's
wild, bro.
But
unfortunately
see, that's why
why
some of these people ain't on TV no more.
Yeah,
I was just getting ready to say that. That's why
Keyshawn
he's not
Johnson.
on
No
Fox
Yep.
longer on
or
TV no more.
ESPN.
No
They
major
not. You
networks.
right.
He
You
got to
right,
do
Cam.
these
They ain't on TV
hole
no
in the
more.
wall
You right.
podcasts. That's why.
and you know who had to pull back some because he was on the way of being like that too. Chris Canty. Chris Canty was on some nonsense with Cincinnati the last couple of years too.
Yeah, he
And
was.
he done drew it back a little bit, but he got to talking about Joe Burrow's not elite, he not this. But man, what game are you watching? Like
He
you can
was playing
have
Madden
some
and
of
trying to play with Joe Burrow. That's
like
what he was
man, like
doing.
I don't get it. Like you can have your take and your opinion. All right, that's cool. I understand that. But when it's not even correlating to the games that we're watching, what are you getting it from?
Coach Chambers said, "Nah, he bugging. He had a great Hall of Fame. Yet he needed to chill." Nah, I mean
Yeah. Oh no, absolutely.
it's absolutely true. But that whole statement of home is where the hate is true because it seems like he had an extra little fervor behind what he was saying because he made the Middletown reference, and I grew up, and he did grow up in the projects, and that's how much I didn't listen. If the Bengals called, you would have played for them too. Stop that
For sure.
nonsense, all that talking.
I
Your
think
big brother.
I
Your
really
big
think
brother Butch
I think he's
Carter.
really holding a grudge against the Bengals because they didn't even look at him.
Well, a lot of people didn't look at Chris because of his
Booger
substance
sugar.
abuse problem, you know, at the time. And it took a strong coach like a Buddy Ryan to take a chance on him. And even Buddy, you know, ended up cutting him at the time. And if it wasn't for another strong coach in Denny Green, who knows where Chris Carter's career would be because he was radioactive at the time.
Yeah.
Everybody knew the talent, but there were a lot of people that was like, nah, we can't have him in the locker room, you know, snorting up lines and doing that nonsense.
He on the tear right now.
Like, make it make sense, dude. Like I understand your opinion, I get it, but it's not making sense and connecting to the now. You talking about then, and then like you said, Al, they went in the '80s twice in a decade, so you still not making sense. But whatever.
Yeah, I didn't understand that commentary by CC, but again, I still love him. He's still one of my favorite wide receivers of all time. Yeah, he just needs to chill on that.
We all love that uncle in the family. We know what it is.
He said, "We know what it is." just like that other uncle down there in Jerry World that love his hurricanes so much.
We know them uncles, man. We know how they get there.
We know what Uncle Mike's still on too. Last thing,
Leave
brother.
Uncle Mike alone, man. He just turned up. That's all.
Yeah, man. He's still. He might be. I think he just still messing with the roids a little bit. I think that's all it is.
Whatever that stretch he was doing on the sideline was
Yeah.
unacceptable.
Hey, he was locked in.
Was unacceptable. Like, come on.
Oh man.
So because I want to get ready to watch this too, but Wemby is something that we have not seen,
It's an alien.
and we've seen a lot because we've been around for a few generations now of NBA talent. Yeah, we was all young bucks when Mike was doing his thing, but we got to see everything. This kid Wemby, what I like about him the most is his competitiveness. He reminds me of a '90s, early 2000s guy. He's not out there trying to make friends. Him and Ant-Man, as far as that, I really respect because they are just going hard at it. They want to be the best. They want their team to be the best. And there's not an answer for what is he, 7'6",
7'4".
7'5",
They got him at 7'4".
and does everything
Right.
on the court.
And he pulled from the bleachers to tie the game up.
And of course, my beloved New York Knicks completed a 22-point comeback to go up 1-0 in the NBA Eastern Conference Finals.
Kenny Atkinson need his ass.
Whoa, man.
You let that team drown the last 8 minutes. Now, Al, you supposed to be happy. You're supposed to be happy.
Yeah, you're
You
supposed
got
to.
4 timeouts. You're gonna lose 2 regardless under the 4-minute mark, I believe. You lose 2 of them or 3-minute mark, something like that. You lose
3.
2 automatically. Why aren't you trying to stop the bleeding when you see the avalanche is coming? You feel the Madison Square Garden magic starting to happen. You have to call your timeouts. You just came off of a long Game 7 series. Your legs is tired. Get them boys a break, regroup, get them back. He just let them drown. That was the craziest thing I've ever seen.
Cam, you as a coach, Cam. You probably thinking just like I am. Why you ain't put them boys back in the offense that was working? Why you ain't put them back in that offense that worked? Because when they was moving the ball, the Knicks couldn't guard them at all.
They thought the game was over. The coach thought the game was over. That's why he wasn't.
That's a terrible coach. Then I'm gonna say it that way. I'm gonna go that far. It's a terrible coach.
You know what the other thing that happened? He wanted to get his guys, and they said this during the telecast, he wanted to get his guys some rest. And he played some additional players that wasn't part of the rotation the first 2 rounds also last night.
Keon Ellis, I don't know where stop.
Yeah.
I don't want to see Keon Ellis no more this season.
At all. The rest of the season.
He was not ready to go yesterday. But I understand him trying to save their legs. But the unfortunate part was, and it could be a long series. I don't want to overreact after one game, but I do believe that was Cleveland's best chance to steal the home court advantage and flip the series, was winning game 1.
I told you, Al. I said I got the Knicks in 6, but I really thought Cleveland would win game 1. I thought the Knicks was out too long. And for 40 minutes, it seemed that way. And
it did.
And it all unraveled.
I just think
I ain't never
ultimately
seen a fallout like that.
because the Knicks are the better team, I think ultimately they will triumph. It could be 5 or 6 games is what I was thinking, but they play differently at home in Cleveland. So, if the Knicks aren't ready to go, I could see them getting a game or 2 in Cleveland. But this OKC Spurs series is going to be interesting because the Spurs seem to be the only one that had an answer for the Thunder throughout the season, and winning game 1. I'm like, well, if that were to happen, wouldn't it be lovely to rewind back to 1999 and have a Spurs Knicks finals, and the Knicks finally get their revenge on the Spurs?
And the funny thing is, Al, now that after my Celtics went out, I said it's gonna be the Spurs and the Knicks. Because the Knicks just been rolling too good right now.
And the Knicks, at least in my opinion, match up better with the Spurs because they do have a Cat, they do have a Mitchell Robinson, in the post to throw out there versus some of these other teams that just don't even have nothing close that comes up to Wemby's navel, out there on the court.
Hey, and Cam, I'm gonna go ahead and put this on record. Cat is not on the level of Wemby.
He's not on the level of Wemby. However, though, he creates a matchup problem because they're gonna have to decide: are you gonna put Wemby on him and pull him out of the paint, which could cause Brunson to get into the lane, or do you want to put somebody smaller on him and let Wemby roam? They're gonna have a decision to make because Wemby just can't hang in the paint. He's gonna guard.
He ain't gonna be able to do that.
Yeah, Cat will bury him with them 3-pointers.
Yeah.
Also, since Cam is a borderline Buckeye fan now, since he got married, y'all. First of all, I want to give,
Congratulations, brother.
yeah, man, congrats to brother Cam. But his wife is a huge Buckeye fan, and had him up there at the spring games. And Cam is starting to become a Buckeye fan when he get to critiquing Buckeye players and quarterbacks.
You gonna cut your camera off on this one? That's crazy.
So, big news for Buckeyes fans is Alabama decided not to back out of their home series with Ohio State, which they're known to do. When a team gets good, they didn't anticipate being able to beat them and embarrass them potentially. They pulled out of that. I remember when Michigan State got good with Dino, they pulled out of that home because when Alabama plays big time conference, out of conference opponents, they like to do it on a neutral field. It's usually still down south in Atlanta or at Jerry World, so they know exactly what they're doing in those scenarios. But in this one, I was happy that they decided not to back out because their logic was, well, you saw what happened with Texas when they played Ohio State and lost, and that extra loss kept them out of the college football playoff, which there's a plausible argument for. But from a competitive standpoint, I actually thought it was quite embarrassing for a school of Alabama's pedigree to even be considering stepping out of this matchup for that reason. You Alabama, you one of the few teams that from a historical standpoint can match up to the Ohio State University. You should never be considering withdrawing from an opponent of that caliber or not playing them. And it's just another reminder of how far they've fallen since the old man retired, in my opinion. Did they even consider coming out of this matchup? Because I don't think there's a scenario where it necessarily hurts them. What's going to hurt them is that loss and you lose another 2-3 games in the SEC.
Yeah, I think it's more than that's what hurt. That's what hurt them.
That's what hurt Texas. Losing Ohio State didn't hurt Texas. It was the first game. They kept losing.
Yeah, it was losing to unranked Florida.
Yeah, they kept losing to guys.
Somebody else, didn't it?
But them losing Ohio State them losing to Ohio State initially does not hurt. It's still just one loss, but you can't continue to lose.
Yeah, but I understand Sark's comment down there, like, well, do you want us to play the game or not? Like when it comes to them being left out of the playoff, because you're supposed to get extra consideration for scheduling tough games and non-conference opponents like that, which is what we want to see. Like, I don't want to see Ohio State open against Miami of Ohio or Akron. Like, I hate watching those games. I didn't like them back in the day. I understand you need at least one tune-up game where you like one, but I think it brings a different competitive edge when you start the season either opening up against a conference opponent like they've done before, and you run a 9 or 10 game conference opponent, or
don't they play Miami of Ohio this year again?
I don't know if it's Miami of Ohio, but I know it's one of those cupcake teams we had week 1 before we played Texas.
If the NCAA just come out and be definitive on what the criteria is versus all of us guessing, then you can see there got to be a balance between winning, losing, and scheduling, and it got to be a balance between either you gonna reward people for playing in the conference championship, winning and or losing. They don't come out and say definitively.
I'll be there, coach.
The criteria is. That's the issue.
Oh, the fish fry tomorrow, ain't it?
Yes. So for those that don't know and are tuning in or may tune in, Schroeder High School is having a fish fry fundraiser for the football program. They're selling $20 dinner plates. All the money will go towards the football program and their needs,
Hey, Coach Sellers, y'all gonna have some cod? I need some cod.
and the uniforms. As brother Nate interrupted me. um, for a good cause. It's for the kids. A lot of Schroeder alums. Now I'm not gonna put her on blast, but I am. By the same token, one of my favorite schoolmates and fellow alums that I graduated with in the class of '05. I'm not gonna say your name. She gonna ask me in the story feed today. Well, who frying the fish?
That's a valid question, though.
I mean, that's a real
That's a
question. You
legit
gotta
question.
ask, though.
I get it. Brother Darren said tilapia and whiting. Should have told me earlier. Um, I told her, I said, I don't know. I said, hopefully it's Coach Sellers, but even if it's not, it don't matter. Come out and support your alma mater. So no, I'll be there. He knows that though, because we already talked. So I think Nate said he's gonna try to stop by.
Mm-hmm. What time is it? Is it 5?
It's 4 until
Oh, okay, that's good. Where is that? It's at.
it's at the school.
Okay, I'm just making sure. I know I gotta do drop offs and then I can go over there.
He said that's what everybody been at. I mean, it's a valid question
Sometimes you gotta
because
know who dropping this
we
fish.
don't we don't know if the football team of the high schoolers know how to fry fish. So
Yeah, you can't put this in high schoolers' hands. They eat Takis and what's the other one all day? That's all they do.
Man.
yeah, but no, it's for a good cause. I want everybody to show up who can. I put it in the football chat group. So, but to answer and rebuttal sort of what Cal's saying, and we'll go ahead and get out of here. I think it's laid out on the website and the college football playoff criteria what it's supposed to be. Now, as far as do they enforce it or is it consistent across the board for every team? That's a whole nother discussion.
Right.
But they do have criteria laid out, and like I said, it's supposed to be equally yoked. It's not one weighed over the other, but strength of schedule is supposed to factor in everything from how much time you spend ahead, winning, on teams. A lot goes into it. Head to head is supposed to matter if a team, has actually played, one another, stuff like that. It's supposed to all be equally, weighed in there.
Oh, here
Conference
it go. I
champion.
got you. Hold on. So goes again. It's championship 1, strength of schedule, head to head competition, comparative outcomes of common opponents, other relevant factors. This could include my bad. The relevant factors. I'm sorry, y'all. Chase about to piss me off.
Yeah.
First round. So yeah, it's on here. It's criteria.
It's on there. What Cal was saying and alluded to is the fact that it becomes dicey when we're comparing certain schools and teams, and everybody's not held to the same, standard. Obviously, preference at this point, especially with the reshaping of college football, is given to the Big Ten and the SEC. Really don't see an argument why that shouldn't be the case, to be honest. But when it comes to no, Cam, I don't want to hear nothing about UC, bro.
No. It has nothing to do with you, see. I don't even want to talk about them till Coach go. But my issue is this with that. I'm not even going to talk about the Big Ten because the Big Ten has won 3 straight national championships. Correct? Am I right on that? So I'm not even going to touch on the Big Ten. I'm going to say I'm going to talk about the SEC. I get tired of seeing these 5-4 Mississippi State teams ranked, and then somebody like a top 3 team beats them, and they say, "Oh, they beat 21st ranked Mississippi State. They were 5-4. They were no good. I mean, like, I just don't understand. Like, I understand the strength of schedule. I understand the teams that you beat. But you look at some of these teams that be ranked around 20th, 21st, 22nd, and they just give it to a 5-4 Mississippi State or a 5-4. I'm gonna throw a big Northwestern or something like that. And you can look at the team and say these are not top 25 teams, but they're going to get credit for a big win. And I just don't. That's where I don't. That's why.
Well, let me backtrack because for that I agree with. As far as that, I think the age, especially when it comes to the SEC, this whole assumption that just because they play in that conference, I think that needs to go because they've been average for quite a while now, especially since the old man retired down there in Tuscaloosa, like I said was going to be the case. My whole issue that I have with the CFP is it's supposed to be the 12 best teams. Period. We can break it down with all the criteria that they use, even when it was 4. Now I said it should have been 8 and leave it at that because whatever expansion you do, the team that's looking from the outside in is always going to complain. So there's never going to be a total fix. You take it to 24 or whatever they're trying to do now. 25 and 26 are going to complain that they didn't get in. When we know in college football, whether people want to admit it or not, typically on a yearly basis, there's only about 3 or 4 teams capable of winning a national championship. You might get lucky on a given year, and you could say maybe 4 or 5. On a neutral site, teams can do it, but we know what it is. And I agree with Joe Klatt. We're not looking for Cinderella stories. This ain't March Madness. I want to see the 12 best teams.
But you do know that's going to happen. That's going to happen.
Yeah, but you shouldn't be making special considerations just to get Tulsa and James Madison in the field when we all know they don't belong.
What is going to happen?
They don't belong.
I'm not going to say that.
Notre Dame wasn't one of the 12 best teams in the country last year.
You shouldn't have lost to Miami.
That ain't what I asked, Cal. I said, and football, Cal.
I do.
So I'm asking you for a reason.
I don't reward losing.
Cal.
You can beat you.
Notre Dame wasn't one of the 12 best teams in the country last year.
I don't reward losing. You have to win the game. You have to win the games.
You don't want to answer that question.
I just said I don't reward losing.
He said you don't reward it.
I don't reward losing.
I would have rather seen Texas get in than James Madison or Tulsa.
Why? They lost 4 games. That doesn't make sense. You have to win the game. You can't show up and lose, then say I'm one of the best 12.
Because I want to see one of the 12 best teams in the country.
If you lose,
I don't believe in just rewarding a Tulsa just for the hell of it for getting in just because
they won the conference championship.
Just because and they're not a Power 4 team.
So I
just said the criteria. That's
what I said earlier. The criteria has to be different. If it's going to be the conference championship one, and it's going to be strength of schedule as well as wins and losses, you have to win if the other 2 don't match. And Notre Dame, didn't match.
They're going to prioritize
Notre Dame is independent too.
They're going to prioritize Power 4 teams or an independent like Notre Dame over an at-large conference like Tulsa or James Madison. And the outcomes that happen in those games are proof of what most people are saying.
Yeah. I mean, to me, if it's going to be that way, I think they have to separate it. You'll have to have the other national champion, and then you've got to have a Power 5 national champion, because otherwise,
I agree with even doing that.
You're never going to have the parity. I like parity. I don't like seeing the same teams win. I like seeing everybody compete. I'm not a fan of that. I don't want to see that. That defeats the purpose in having a college football champion. I don't want. If we're going to do it, let's do it the right way.
This was supposed to change, and I told y'all with NIL, it wasn't going to change, and it was still gonna make the richer and the poor like Cal, like it's that part is not gonna change. Only thing that's not going to change is Nebraska's not going to be a power again.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. Most of the things that we already know when it comes to sports, some history does repeat itself. So it's going to be some upsets at some point. There's going to be some losses at some point that you're not going to
If you
expect.
hanging on to that Boise State, Oklahoma stuff,
No,
I'm
I'm
telling
not.
you
But
right now.
but it can happen though. So if put it like this, if you went to Boise State and I know y'all playing Oklahoma, I'm not gonna root for you because I'm like, oh, Oklahoma just gonna steal it. No, I'm gonna give you a shot to play. If you earned the right to play them, I'm gonna give you a shot. I'm not gonna say, well, you shouldn't be there, no way. Like
I'm with Joel Klatt. This ain't March Madness. I lead at the college basketball. I don't want to see that. I want to see the blue bloods.
But then that's
play.
a preference.
I want to see.
You.
I want to see the best teams play one another. I want to see Notre Dame and Ohio State play one another. I have a tradition that I didn't have a problem with Miami being back in the picture again and relevant again in college football. I feel like it's good for college football. Like that's what I want to see.
Al just hate the Cinderella story, boy.
Because there's no place that see Cam has a nice heart, and he's a basketball guy at heart. That's his favorite sport. So he believes in the round robin tournaments and the Cinderella story and la da da and being nice to people and stuff. And
I mean, it happens though.
And I'm an old school, as he calls it, leatherhead, football purist. I don't want to see that. I want to see the best.
You don't like seeing underdogs win, then, basically.
I didn't say that. I said I want to see the best against the best. And if there happens to be somebody within that field that upsets somebody, fine. But I knew there was no chance in hell that James Madison or Tulsa was going to advance or do anything. See, because this ain't basketball. Usually in football, the bigger, stronger, faster team wins. Steph Curry can get on a heater at Davidson and upset Georgetown or Arizona in the NCAA tournament, and it's not surprising. That's not going to happen in football. So there's no need to waste those spots.
It happens throughout the season, Al, when big major teams lose to small schools sometimes.
It happened this year. Indiana was a Cinderella story. Indiana was a Cinderella story.
Stop, man.
No, Indiana wasn't a Cinderella story.
They weren't.
No,
they weren't.
So you telling me they wanted the blue bulls in college football?
They've turned into one. They have turned into one.
They're not one of the blue bloods of college football yet. But as far as an institution,
hold on. You said
let me finish.
Oh, go ahead, bro. Because I want to hear this BS that you about to come up with.
It's not BS.
We all know that Indiana was a hoop school. Indiana was a basketball school. Indiana was a baseball school.
Indiana had 30
transfers. Hold on. Indiana had 30 transfers that come in from multiple schools. The most schools they came from was James Madison. And they ran and went on a national championship run.
Hold on. Before don't say nothing. Hold on. I'm gonna say something to you. James Madison had the best record in the last 3 years in football. They brought that coach to Indiana. Them players transferred over there because their coach went over there. Those players, majority of them players that played at James Madison, had D1 offers from all over the country. So we can't sit up here and say that school wasn't ready, or them players were not ready to play on that level, and they had D1 offers.
Yeah.
So they could have played at any other school in the country, D1, and there was a couple kids on that school that played at James Madison, had offers at Ohio State, and chose not to go. But the thing is, they know they was going to sit being behind those players.
That's why James Madison should have been in the playoff. You just proved me right.
I wouldn't argue that, but I was just saying Indiana is now a football school right now.
But prior to last year, they wasn't. But I get it.
No, not prior to 2 years ago. That was 2 years ago. Prior to 2 years ago.
Well, go ahead.
They brought him in. All that coach knew how to do. All he knew how to do was win football games. Like I said, he had one of the best records in a 3 to 4 year span, being at James Madison.
One national championship does not make them a football power. However,
no, I'm not. Okay, go ahead.
However, the recent history that Indiana has had over their past several football head coaches has made them a competitive football program from where they to be. I'm gonna have to mute you, Cam, because that is
That feed is tough.
yeah. So um, what I'm saying simply is they weren't a Cinderella story last year because previously the previous season they lost to two games, Ohio State and Notre Dame, the two teams that played for the national championship that season. So
Hmm.
Kurt Signetti meant business from jump when he got to Indiana. So it wasn't surprising. And if you follow Factual Opinions podcasts and the Instagram pages and so forth, I posted a lot of Indiana content last year when I was screaming to the top of my lungs that Ohio State and Indiana were the two best teams in college football. Now, regardless of Ohio State getting upset, by Miami in the college football playoff, so it was not a surprise to me that they won a national championship if you watch football and you're not biased on a particular conference or team and watching them play. So that was not a Cinderella story to me because they from jump at several points throughout the year, especially going out to Oregon on the road, the way they won that
Yeah, that was a
football
good game.
game. Even though Penn State was in transition last year and fired, James Franklin during the season, Indiana had never previously won ever at Happy Valley and went on the road and won one of the most miraculous games that we saw in college football last year. So I was worried even going into the Big Ten championship game. And although Ohio State pissed that game away and had many opportunities to still win, the fact is Indiana won that game, which let me know they were ready to take the next step. So I wasn't surprised by anything that they did and running through it. So I know they weren't a Cinderella story, but they are a basketball school still, Nate. So I disagree with that. Although the organization and the school itself has done what most schools don't have the balls to do is say, you know what? I know what we are historically, but this is what we are now, and everything that Kurt Signetti asked for that university to do and believing in his vision and how to run that operation, they've done, which is why they benefited from him being there. Now, they didn't make excuses like I won't. I won't say the school that I have in mind with this, but and they shelled out the money to keep Signetti too, also. Because and that's the point that I make about high school and all these other stuff when me and Nate get into it, talking about a particular school and stuff, you know, a lot can be done away with by just bringing the right guy in there and letting him cook. Because that's what it comes down to, really. Bring the right guy in and let him cook. Stop with the excuses. He came out from day one and said he wasn't kissing Ohio State and Michigan's. You know what? He said that at the press conference and he said, I win, Google me. Well, he's backed up everything that he said since
Yeah.
he got to Indiana. So my point is I'm saying they're not a football school yet, but as long as Kurt Signetti is there, that's going to be, I think, the premier program in
I guess
Bloomington.
I said it wrong. He's changing the dynamic. He's the dynamic there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I believe it's on the way. Like Al said, to kind of agree with that. If you bring in the right guy, the right situation, the right money machine, the right coach, the right staff, you can get it done the same way. Um, it can happen because it can happen that way. That's why I don't think we can eliminate everybody not being deserving to at least participate because the correct money machine, the correct guy can get you a championship.
Hmm.
And we've seen it
But
happen.
the other part I wanted to answer and respond to when you said that, cows, no, they're not a blue blood when it comes to football. We can't doubt their blue blood status, at least historically, when it comes to basketball. But we're still talking about a major Division One program.
That's true.
We're not
That's
talking
true.
about a former one AA, school in James Madison or something, like that. That still, without Signetti there, may not have the athletes to get it done. So that's what I think the difference is when you still have a major Division One program like Indiana, which they are, it makes it a little bit easier. That money machine that you're talking about,
Mhm.
certain schools don't have it. Bowling Green's not going to be able to compete on that national level. You know, an NIL deal for them might be a local car dealership up there in Bowling Green. Not to be funny, but you know, they're not getting, you know, Bentley or Raising Canes or, you know,
Yeah.
Dick's Sporting Goods, you know, NIL deals and money to their athletes.
But Eddie George is a step in the right direction, though.
Well, what do you think's going to happen with Eddie if and when he
He,
does have
I mean,
significant
I
success at
will,
Bowling
I
Green?
will. A lot of programs will always because I know somebody who's going through the recruiting process now. The recruiting pitch now for the smaller schools is this: if you can help us now, we can help you later. We make sure we get your film, get you out there, whatever for the NIL deal. If you can help us now, we'll help you later. So it's always a step up and a money game. So I get that. It's just one of those things where if it continues to be like that, then they're gonna have to separate it, because then you're gonna have kids that probably shouldn't even be playing college football, playing for a Division I team who ain't even that good.
Which is fine with me, but that's what I was saying. Like, it's still easier for a school like Indiana to take that next step than it would be for, shall we say, Appalachian State even to cross over into, you know, FBS and play.
I'm gonna tell you who I think can make the next step, man, if they bring in the correct guy. Memphis. Memphis is one of those teams where they're right there on that cuff. Even though they're in Conference USA, they can schedule a lot better, but they have the money behind them with Penny, Nike, and so forth, and other people that they can kind of compete with that NIL type of wave to be able to get the right kind of guy in Memphis. Memphis is a rough city to
They
live
get
in.
the right guy to do it. He's gonna leave like Mike Norvell did and go to Florida State.
Yeah, but see, I bet he regretting that move. I
He
know he
probably
regrets that
does
move.
now, especially since Memphis beat them. But
Right.
um, that's all I'm saying. And so when I look at it like that, I'm still looking at, yeah, Indiana might have the record for most losses all time in college football history. They're still a major Division I program.
True.
They
You
just
right.
didn't
That makes sense.
achieve. But that's all I wanted to talk about. So thank you for everybody that tuned in. Please remember to subscribe to all our pages on social media. If you're a listener, we're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music. Make sure you check us out. So we'll try and do it better again the next time. Appreciate everybody for showing up.
For sure.